So yes, good morning. It's finally that time again. I'm back in my running gear, and it's been 5 days since I last did a fitness fragrance review. Now this fragrance, again, I thought I'd actually done a review on this one. I've spoken about it in other videos, but it's never had its own individual fitness fragrance review. And it's this one by Lush. It's Lush Calmer's body spray. Now Calmer's been around for a couple of years, I believe. They certainly had it as just an original perfume, but this year they released it as a body spray, and I'm a big fan. I'm going to say that early on because if you've seen my videos before, I've mentioned this, I'm a big fan. It's very different though to some of their other fragrances. Lush fragrances tend to be very gourmand, very much smell like, baking cookies or the nice butterscotch biscuits, all those really lovely sort of flavours, sherbet lemon, toffee pudding. It's just that gourmandy feel. This one's a little bit different, so we're going to talk about the note breakdown in a minute. But if you haven't seen these fitness fragrance reviews, essentially I do a morning workout. So I go for a run, walk to the gym, do a gym workout, walk back, while wearing this fragrance, and I rank it on 5 categories. So it's price/value for money, its versatility, so how much you can use it in different situations, its projection and performance. So essentially I'll see if I can smell it on my run, but see how much it fills up my room today. If someone walked in, would they notice it? Compliment factor, do I think it's compliment getting fragrance? Have I had compliments on it? And also its longevity. So I'll spray my arm before I walk to the gym, do my workout, have a shower, and still see if I can smell the fragrance after without applying it all in between. But before we do that, let's talk about the note breakdown. What is in this body spray? Okay, so let's have a look at the most simple note breakdown. A lot of brands now, they're not really giving big note breakdowns, but actually when you look on Lush's ingredients, which they have on the back here, they don't seem to have a lot of notes added. They add very realistic oils, and that's why I love them so much. But the top note of this is sweet orange, bright citrusy, heart note, patchouli, earthy, slightly sweet, and then the base is pine and fir resin, woody green. Now the top note here, the orange, really is the statement part of this fragrance. That's the thing you really detect. It's really earthy orange, a little bit more in the mould of like a Terre d'Hermès than a really sweet citrusy fragrance. I mean, it says bright citrusy. I don't think this is a sweet orange. This is like a very earthy feeling. But I think that's just where the patchouli is essentially combined with this. This is a patchouli bomb. This really smells strong patchouli. If you like patchouli, you're going to love this fragrance. But it's that patchouli and orange you really get. And I think, to be honest, if anything that pine and fir resin's doing, it's just sort of blending it together a little bit more. But it doesn't smell anything like a Christmas tree or anything like that. The orange really is the heart of this fragrance. And I kind of think the label gives that away. That orange around the sort of front of the label just gives you that vibe of, yeah, it's going to have that orangey citrus smell. It's very realistic, very good. But it's patchouli for me that really stands out. It gives it this more mature feeling rather than anything too juvenile, too sweet, too cloying. It's just really well put together. And what I love with this one, a lot of Lush fragrances, they can smell like butterscotch biscuit, sherbet lemon, smells that are just very gourmand that people might almost confuse with food. Strawberries and chocolate, for example. There's one called Cherryish at the moment that's a bit like that. Whereas this one here smells like a fragrance. People aren't going to think you smell of oranges or anything like that. That patchouli makes it smell more like a fragrance, and it's really good. I just think that pine and fir resin just sort of smooths the edges off a little bit as well, because again, a lot of Lush body sprays can be quite harsh. But what we're going to do now, then, we're going to head out for a run. We're going to do the first 2 categories, so price/value for money for this body spray and its versatility. So I'm going to spray a couple more, as I paid for it at the end of the day. That was a bit more than the couple, wasn't it? But anyway, let's get out there. It's a little bit windy, but I think it's dry, so let's go. It is a warm one this morning. It doesn't feel like this time of year, that's for sure. So price/value for money for Lush Calmer. Well, I have to say, first of all, I've just come out, literally, I've only just started. And my dad sneezed because he said you put too much spray on. And when I went downstairs to put my shoes on, I said, oh, you smell nice. So I said, oh, it's Lush Calmer's body spray. And she was like, oh, I can tell now, I recognise that. Because I bought her the original perfume of this. And I'm going to say this now, the perfume was either I think it was £70. This is £30, as you would have just seen. I'm going to just go straight in 10 out of 10. This is 10 out of 10 for price/value for money, because this smells like a fragrance. I mentioned it when we went out. It's really natural smelling. That orange is very realistic, almost like an Hermes realistic. The patchouli's realistic. And that pine, even though it doesn't give you that Christmas, everything's realistic. And these are natural oils. On the back of the Lush packaging, the green writing, they're all in green, those oils, and it smells exactly that. It smells so natural, and it is like a real step up in maturity. Lush can be a little bit gimmicky whether that's their bath bombs or whatever. They like fancy sort of names, you know, sort of catchy, punny names. And they can be quite sweet, quite juvenile. If you've walked past a Lush shop, you know those smells. This one smells like someone who's a little bit more serious. Someone who wants to be a bit more grown up and actually wants to wear a fragrance for it being a fragrance. And it's got signature scent about it. Even though it's simple with the note breakdown, it's simple done right. And Lush are always good at this. They do make simple smells smell really good because they keep the quality high. And that's what you get here. That orange is so realistic. And it's nothing too daring. This is the thing I really like with this fragrance. They've just kept simple notes like patchouli, like orange, like pine, which you see in a lot of men's and women's fragrances. And they've just done it better. They've not cut any corners. They've gone, let's go simple, and simple's best. And you just get this really lovely earthy orange smell. And it smells quite, you can certainly, we'll talk about versatility later. But for me, this is one that can represent you as a person and not feel like someone's going to think, I smell of biscuits or I smell of vanilla. Even though they're pleasant smells, sometimes you don't want to just smell like a gourmand. You want to actually smell like you're wearing a fragrance and you're clean and you've really made an effort to make a statement. And I think that's what this gives me. For £30 for a real statement scent, I think it's great. And I always think, again, if I was blindfolded, what would I pay? I'd easily pay 70, 80 to £100 for this. That's how good quality it smells, and I think it competes with Bentley for Men in that price range. Completely different smell, the quality is right up there, so 10 out of 10. Okay then, so versatility. How can you dress this one up, dress this one down? Different ages, different occasions, different seasons, all those things. Well, whenever I do this round, I ask myself the question first, when would I reach for this? Now, I think this is definitely more of that spring, fall type fragrance. The citrus in it means it's maybe not something you'd want to necessarily reach for in the winter, because it's not a really icy citrus. But the patchouli and the pine in this gives it that earthiness that I don't think you're going to really want to wear on a hot day either. And that's great in that element. They're never going to be completely wrong in those situations, but they're never going to cut through the cold or feel quite right. It's going to be a little bit too heavy in that summer environment. And I say that a little bit like to say that running, I'm actually quite enjoying it. It's quite windy, you may be able to tell. And for the gym later though, where that incense is quite strong, that incense vibe you get from it, it's going to be a little bit too smoky for me in the gym, I think. But again, it is a super pleasant fragrance, and it's one that I think to best wear it would be smart casual. Male, female, straight down the middle. Smart casual, if you want to dress up, if you go for a job interview, you don't want to look overdressed, and you don't want to make a real scene like this is what I'm wearing, notice my fragrance. I think this does that box. It's in that Ted Hermes vibe for me. The sort of fragrance that's like this nice earthy orange smell that can be the ultimate signature scent, and that is what Ted Hermes is, and I think that's what this is. And in that sense, it is pretty versatile. If we're saying something's a signature scent, it's got to have that element of versatility. I only think it will be marked down where it's not something I'd necessarily want to wear just to do, you know, my daily errands run, because I think it's better than that. It's better than a gym fragrance. And I think a younger person wouldn't appreciate this. I don't think when I was 18, 19, I would have wanted to wear this. I think I would have gone, I want to smell like everyone else. I want to smell like 1 million. So maybe it's a little bit more for a trained nose and a slightly more mature person, sort of 25 and upwards. But other than that, straight down the middle unisex. And this can be a fragrance that defines you as a person. If you want, you know, you want something to represent your personality, I'd be quite happy for this one to do that for me. So I'm going to give it an 8.5 out of 10. Super fragrance. Definitely transition seasons when it's best. But there's never a situation where I think it's completely wrong. And I absolutely love it. So yeah, let's get this run done. Looks like the rain's about to come. And we'll talk about projection when we're back. Workout done, managed to do about 12.5 miles, pretty happy with that, and it didn't rain. It's now time to do projection, so I'm going to do a room spray test first. If you haven't seen these, essentially I'm going to spray my room. I'm going to do 5 types of the body spray because they're just such a strong list. Let's do one, let's do 6. Essentially what I'm going to do, go downstairs, talk about the projection, how much I noticed it during my run. 10 minutes time, I'll come upstairs and I'll just see how much essentially the fragrance has filled the room. Before I do that though, it's just about 6 past 9 exactly. I'm going to spray my arm 5 times. on both sides, and then 3 hours time, once I leave the gym, we'll see how much I can smell the fragrance. I won't apply it again in that time, and then we'll do our test for longevity later after a shower. So yeah, let's head downstairs, let's have a cup of tea, and we'll talk about projection during my run. Oh, cup of coffee. So how much did I notice Calmer body spray during my run? A lot. Probably, I lost count, but it was over 20 times. It was really, really strong. And what I'd say with this one, which surprised me more than anything, is how much it lingers. Sometimes I get a lot of wafts of fragrance during my run. Okay, oh, the projection's really good. This one was hanging around for like 2-3 seconds. It was there, and then it would just go like that much longer. So I really got a proper smell of it as well. And of course, it was more when I was changing directions. It was windy. But obviously, even when I was stopping, it was really, really good. And again, with the notes in this, I wasn't overly expecting that. Look, the patchouli is really strong. The orange is really strong. And I think that pine, fir resin can be quite strong, pungent notes. Even though I don't detect it, it may be elevating those other notes in the fragrance. And it was just really strong, really pleasant. But they're not fragrance notes that you think are really sticky. You know, ones that are going to last in the air. So I'm thinking it's going to do okay in the room test. I don't think it's going to be a 10 out of 10. I still think those boozy, more vanillic notes are a little bit more sticky. But yeah, this could be pretty good. I'm really looking forward to finding out. So we'll finish this, we'll head upstairs, and then we'll give my overall score on projection. Okay then, so we have just gone in. And wow, yes, I can smell it a lot. So my door's slightly open, as you've just seen. I've just closed it. Yeah, this is going to be noticed. There's no two ways about it. If someone comes in your office, comes in your room, they're going to notice this. And it's not that one where you think, and I've said this a lot with particularly strong projecting fragrances, they can be quite divisive, particularly leather notes and things like that. This one I don't think is. This one, being maybe a unisex type fragrance, it's great. It's not synthetic, which again, they can project really strong. This is just really pleasant. This smells great. People are going to notice this. I reckon you could easily get 5 or 6 people in the office literally just stop and give you compliments. That's how good this is. And actually, I'm a little bit disappointed I haven't done an office job for a little while, because I think this would be the one I'd go to all the time. And that's where Ted Hermes used to get me a lot of compliments. Going inside classrooms, people used to say good things. And as I've mentioned on this run, it gives me that vibe. It's not the same fragrance, it doesn't smell the same, but it's in that same profile. And that is brilliant. That is done really well. And it's not super like strong in your face too much. It's perfect. It's just about right. And I'm going to have to give it a 10 out of 10. Yes, I've had stronger ones, but if you're comparing like projection to the scent quality and the comfort of actually wearing it, knowing that if it does fill a room, people are going to say good things, I think that means it's got to be a 10 out of 10. So yeah, it's doing very well today. And we're going to talk about compliment factor next now. So I head to the gym. I'll talk about it on my walk. Have I worn this one for compliments before? And what's my experience of it? Is it one that I think can get compliments if you start buying it and wearing it in different situations? Buttermint in mouth. Got to keep my energy up while doing all this morning workout. Any excuse to eat chocolate and sweets, isn't it, really? Anyway, compliment factor. So, what's my experience of this one? Well, again, I mentioned earlier on, this is a new body spray. Essentially, the fragrance has been out for a while, but in the form of a body spray, it hasn't been out, and I've only ever had it as a body spray myself. I first smelled this one a couple of years ago. I think my brother had it actually as the perfume originally, and then my mum got it, or he may have bought it for her. I can't remember off the top of my head. And the reason I probably can't remember is it didn't really stand out to me at the time. I didn't particularly like it, because it's got this kind of retro vibe, and it says it on the front. It sort of says about 17th London, you know, on the front of the bottle, and it just does give you that vibe of a bit retro, a bit old school. But I don't mean that in a bad way. It's not dated smelling. It's probably the word I'm looking for is maybe timeless. It is a timeless scent, but it doesn't have that sort of scent profile that you'd necessarily associate with compliment getting fragrance, because it's not one that you can always wear in, you know, it's not perfect for a gym situation, or, you know, just throwing on casually like a Dior Sauvage. It's not a blue fragrance, essentially. It's not one you'd maybe necessarily associate with compliments. And I always think gourmand notes, things like caramel, tonka bean, they're the ones that really get you compliments, particularly in modern fragrances. And this doesn't have that in, but it's just got something about it. There's this, you know, we say it's about Hermes. I know I keep going back to that one, but it's the one I can compare it to the most. It's a very pleasant smell. It came out in 2006, Hermes, and it still, to me, feels very modern. It still gets good compliments. It's still very popular. And this one I just think is just not going to be one that people particularly know and recognise. And I think that's going to be a good thing with this. I think this is going to have that slightly mysterious quality with the patchouli. People are going, this is quite unique, this is quite different, but I really like that. Because as I said, it's not daring, it's nothing, like the notes aren't particularly notes that you don't recognise in fragrances. It's one that people will recognise, they'll recognise the notes. And I think you'll stand out for the right reasons. Look, transition season fragrances, which I've said this one is, don't tend to be standout. I tend to think you either get a really nice summer fragrance or a really nice sort of winter type fragrance, and they're the ones that will get the best compliments. But for this one, I think because it's a transition season fragrance that people don't know and it's strong, people are going to recognise it and they're going to go, wow, what is that? That's really nice. And I think the fact you say it's a £30 Lush fragrance, I think it's actually going to be good, not a bad thing at all. I still think it lacks a bit of versatility to use it in as many situations that you may want to. And you know, I wouldn't necessarily wear it for a night out if I'm trying to impress, but it is still a statement, it's a signature scent. And it is really good. I'm doubting myself here. See, I'm doubting myself while talking about it. I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. I still think if I'm going for compliments, I'd probably still pick a boozy type fragrance. Or if I want that little bit more versatility, a bit more, you know, something I can wear for the gym, for example, I'd probably still go for a Sauvage instead. But it's great. And of course, if I get any compliments at the gym, I will bump it up to a 10. Workout done, hiding in the toilet as usual. I'd say the fragrance has been super strong. I've got a long sleeve on, but even despite my sleeves being done when I was walking down and most of my workout today, it's not transferred onto that. Well, even if it has, it's still really strong mark. I think this is going to do really well on longevity as well. It's lovely. I said it wasn't going to be great for a gym fragrance, but where it's maybe worn off 5-10%, it's probably about 85% as strong. It's still pretty high at the moment. It's just taking that edge off it being too cloyed. Of course, I've only got it on my arms. I've had it around my neck, not so sure. But yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how it survives the shower test. I'm expecting big things, so no pressure, Lush Picard body spray. You've got to live up to hype here. So yeah, let's go have a shower and then we'll do longevity after. Oh, it suddenly got really cold. I didn't dry my hair very well, so feel chilly. But anyway, it's 12 o'clock now. It's time to smell my arm and see what we can detect. Can I still smell Lush Karma body spray? Yes, I can. Probably not quite as much as I was expecting. Really more because I have such high hopes for this, and it just impresses me so much every time I wear it. It's probably about 55 to 60% as strong, so it's still a pretty high score, you know, and it's certainly going to get you through the day. You know, I've done a pretty hard workout. As I said, I had long sleeves on, I had a very warm shower. The showers at the gym, they go basically baking hot because they're on a button which you press, and then it basically then turns itself off, essentially to save water. Yeah, it gets really hot and cold, but no, it's still there. It'll definitely get you through the day, and it's going to get you noticed, I reckon, after about 5 or 6 hours application. So the longevity is fine, and maybe that kind of goes back to what we were saying earlier. Now, it doesn't have those really strong vanillic notes in, some spices that can be really strong. It's much more of notes that, you know, patchouli is a strong note, but it's not maybe as heavy as some of the ones I've just mentioned. But it's still absolutely fine, and the smell's very pleasant. It hasn't changed. It's just pleasant, you know. It feels suitable, even though I've said it's more of a transition scent. It's quite cool as I've got my hat on, and it's fine. I'm more than happy to wear it. I probably wouldn't reach for it. Sometimes I think this fragrance, I almost forget about how good it is. It's one of those ones I put on, and it's only once I wear it I realise actually how much I like it. It's just not necessarily the one I always reach for, and there's absolutely no reason for that. And maybe I need to more. Maybe it needs a more catchy name as well. I think Karma, I don't know why it's called that, and they have quite strong gimmicky names, so there must be a reason for it. But I think they could have changed this more, because orange and patchouli is at the heart of this. They could have given it something like orange is the new black, or just something more to elevate this. Even, as I said, the name could be elevated to make this feel a bit more special, because it really is a special scent. I'm going to give longevity though, I'll give it an 8 out of 10. It's still very good, and for what it's actually meant to be worn for, not exercise and stuff, it would certainly get you through the day. It'd probably be about 70-80% as strong, but it's about 55-60 on my skin, so not bad at all in that right. What we'll do then, we'll head back, we'll count up all the scores, and I'll give my overall thoughts on this fragrance. We are back. Another workout is done. How many steps have I done this morning? I have done 38,195, all while wearing Lush Calmer body spray. So what was the total score? What did it get overall based on the 5 categories I did today? 45.5 out of 50. It's a massive score. I don't even think I've had many scores bigger than that, maybe 1 or 2, but that is top quality. It's got 2 10 out of 10 rounds with price to pay for money for £30. I think that's unbelievable. But also for me, what's really amazing with this fragrance, it's something that constantly, honestly brings me back to it all the time, is its projection. It really projects, and you just notice it. It fills up a room, and I think for that reason, the compliment score could have been a 10 out of 10, to be honest. And even longevity in its own right, it could be a 10 out of 10. This could have been a 50 out of 50 fragrance. But even if I was making the perfect fragrance, I probably wouldn't give 50. And it sounds really strange to say that, but I probably just never would. I remember my university lecturer once, a little story, did an essay on dementia, an exercise for dementia, and he said it was a 100% essay, nothing you could mark me down on, but they couldn't give it just because they have to find something for you to improve on. I'm really struggling. There's nothing I think this can really improve on. The only reason it doesn't get 50 is just there's some other fragrances that will have, a longevity up here, but the rest of the fragrance is nowhere near as good as this one. So if we're talking about the whole package, for me, this is 50 out of 50. It is the perfect fragrance, or as close to the perfect fragrance as you can get. And I don't consider it in my top 5. And there's no reason why it shouldn't be. It is incredible. It is absolutely fantastic. There's literally nothing I can mark it down on. And I very rarely will say this with fragrances, but if there's one that I always say, look, because fragrances are subjective, don't go out and buy things. I'd never say, look, I'd recommend fragrances. I think you could buy this and be pretty happy. I didn't love it initially, though, myself. I didn't. But the more you wear it, the more it grows on you. And if you haven't tried this one, I really, really recommend it. It's the one fragrance I could say, out of all the ones I've currently got, I'd recommend to buy over anything. And I love Sticky Dates. I love Yoghnot. I love all those Lush fragrances. But I think this is the one that might do the most jobs for the most people. And it's great. I just hope they change the name. I don't know why. For me, Karma always feels like a bad thing. Obviously, good Karma is what this is, because it's given me so many good memories today on my workout. But I think it could change its name and be an even better fragrance. I think Lush are really missing the trick here, but keep it at that price because it's so good. And let's hope we can keep it a secret. If you've watched this, you're probably only one of about 10 people that will keep it a secret, but try it and see what you think as well, because we'll be the ones that are winning. But thank you very much for watching today. The other fitness fragrance review tomorrow. Not sure which one I'm going to do yet. Maybe I'll do a bit of a face-off, but I'll work out. I'll have a little look, see if my brother's got any other ones as well. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this one today. I'll catch you later.